Hey guys, Mr. B here again, bringing you another math video. This one part 3 of my solving linear equations video series, I guess you could call it. I don't want to get too fancy here, it's just math videos, so I don't want to get too serious. But alright, so this one, and if you haven't seen the first two again, if you're just trying to learn how to do this stuff, you might want to watch those first two. In this video, what I'm going to focus on is solving two different equations that involve distribution. So you might want to watch that, the first two, if you haven't seen any. And distribution, that's really messy. But anyway, distribution is one of those things that you use in math. Once you learn it, you'll use it pretty much on a regular basis. So really, distribution is, if you have something like this, 5 times 3x plus 4, and you're trying to, expand that, so to say. What you need to use distribution. So what ends up happening is you go 5 times 3, and then 5 times 4. So you distribute through it to each term. There's a teacher that works with me, and she calls distribution the claw, because you can almost see like it's making like some claw marks if you draw it out like that. So it goes through each one. So it goes to the 3x and you multiply, and it goes to the 4, you multiply. So you have to go through to each one. Doesn't matter how many things you have in brackets, everything that's separated by a plus or minus sign, you have to multiply each one of those. So if you had something like this, so 2 times 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. I'm not going to be dealing with any squareds and solve or anything, but just to illustrate the point, you have to go to each individual term inside the brackets. So that's what we have to remember. We have to do that first. So when we have something like this, when we have to solve for x, I should have wrote that there. We have to solve for x. The first thing we do is we distribute to each term. So inside the bracket. So we go to the 5x, and then we go to the 1. So we end up with 2 times 5x. I'm actually going to write this out. 2 times 5x plus 2 times 1. And that's equal to 5. So then we multiply these two, so we have 10x, 2 times 5x is 10x, plus 2 is equal to 5. So now, if you look back, if you've done a video 1, then this is an exact same question. It's a very similar question, you do it exactly the same way. So it looked like something that was complicated to solve, but we made it into something that we know how to solve. So what we have to do here is we have to subtract 2 from both sides. So we have 10x plus 2. Subtract 2 is equal to 5. Subtract 2. So we cancel. So we have 10x is equal to 3. Then we have 10 times x. So in order to undo 10 times x, we have to divide by 10. The inverse operation. Divide by 10, divide by 10. So then we end up with, I'll just write it over here, not enough space. X is equal to 3 over 10. And you can just simply leave it like that. Don't worry about writing it as a decimal point 3. Just leave it like that. It's perfectly fine. So that's a typical example of how to do distribution. So, the only real way it gets harder is if you have more distribution or you have fractions. So we'll do one with more distribution before we start looking at fraction stuff. So this one's distribution to both sides. So you might want to pause here, give it a shot using what we learned in the last question, and see if you can handle it. This one will actually work out to solve similar to video 2. So again, first step, let's distribute both sides. So 2, and then 2 times that one, this one times that, this times that. So I'm going to skip the step of actually writing out what we're multiplying. I'm just going to do it here. So I have 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Make sure you got the sign correct. 5 times 2x is 10x. And 5 times 1, of course, is 5. So if you look, exactly the same as video 2. Variables on both sides, numbers on both sides. So again, it's up to you what you get rid of first. My personal preference is numbers. Sometimes you end up with negatives. We're going to have a negative number in this in front of the variable, but that's okay. We can deal with that. So actually, I'm going to get rid of the 4 first, just because it's annoying me. So I have So we're going to get rid of the 4 first. I think I had stopped for a second. Little guy was crying. So I'm going to get rid of the 4 first here by adding 4 to both sides. So 6x minus 4 plus 4 is equal to 10x plus 5 plus 4. So really this might be one of the times where you might want to consider putting the variables on the left-hand side or the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. Again, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go with what I normally do. I don't mind negative numbers, but if you want to avoid negatives, you can do that. So I get rid of those, so I'm left with 6x is equal to 10x plus 9. So now I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides, so this is where I'm going to get my negative from. So 6x, oops, not 60. 6x subtract 10x is equal to 10x subtract 10x, of course, plus 9, and then we cancel out these 10x's here, so I'm left with negative 4x is equal to 9. Then I have to get rid of that negative 4, so I have to divide both sides by negative 4. So now I'm left with x is equal to negative 9 over 4. So the negative in the bottom and the negative 4 can come up to the 9, or it can go to the middle. It doesn't matter. As long as you recognize that that's a negative number. Not one of them is negative, the whole thing is negative. But you can also consider one to be negative. It doesn't matter. So guys, hopefully this helped. Again, I always tell you, in order to get good at this stuff, it's no good to watch me do it. You got to practice. So go to your textbook, go to your notes, go on the internet, whatever it is, look up some of these questions, make them up yourself, sure, and do them, because that's the only way you're ever going to get good at this stuff. Not by watching some guy on the internet who pretends like he knows what he's at. So, best of luck to you. If you got any questions, drop me a note, hit me up on Twitter. Barnes is on Twitter now, so you know, I'm semi-famous. I'm up to I'm almost got 4 followers, so you could be the number 5 follower. All right, take her easy. Good luck.